Wait, hold on. I gotta close this. I don't know what's going on. Okay, hi. Hello. What's up? I guess. Hi. So basically, this video, we're gonna get personal with this one. Okay, I don't know how personal it actually is, but basically, so a few years ago, actually like 2 years ago, not that long ago if you think about it, so we did this thing called nanowrimo, where we had to write this story that was, oh gosh, it had to be 12,000 words, and we had to write this in a course of 30 days. And this is a lot of pressure. That was a lot of pressure for a young child. Yeah. But anyways, I haven't looked at this in ever since it was written. So I kind of want to get into it and read the first few chapters just for fun. Alrighty, I remember this agony. Shudder. Yeah, it's not too great. Especially with me being a math kid. Yeah, I'm very into math, and language arts is not exactly my strong suit. I've gotten better, but yeah. Alrighty. Anyways, this doesn't really have a title, but basically, no, you are right. I did not have fun at all. Shout out to my stepmom. Love you. Oh yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, basically, crap. Oh yeah, I keep spacing out. Okay, so it's about this girl that, she finds, I remember the horror vicariously. Yes. Yes. Alright, so this is a story about a girl who basically, she finds this, it's basically a Christmas story. Not referring to the movie A Christmas Story. It's a story that takes place during Christmas. But yeah, she finds this strange present that can do strange things. But I'm not spoiling it, so let's get right into this. Alrighty. Chapter 1. It was a delightfully snowy Christmas morning, and Catherine, Cat, Rollinger, woke up to her older brother Chris shooting her with a Nerf gun. Catherine abruptly woke up, and in doing so, she clumsily fell out of her bed. Gosh, Chris, why are you always waking me up in the most obnoxious ways? Whenever Catherine was sleeping in, Chris always found a creative way to wake her up. Chris started laughing maniacally. Are you okay? He said while still chuckling. Cat threw a pillow at him. Why'd you have to wake me up like that? I was sleeping peacefully, she complained. Well, it's Christmas, and therefore we have to open our stockings, he remarked. Cat stood up from where she had fallen at last. She checked her watch. It's only 6. It's way too early. We should go back to bed. She started heading back to bed. But don't you remember when we were kids? When you would wake me up at 6 and we would open the stockings early? He said, looking thoughtful. Those were the best days. Cat thought about it more. Okay, but I'll come. But we better be quiet and not wake up Mom, she said. Chris smiled. Let's go, he said, leaving their room. They tiptoed into the living room, where they saw the giant Christmas tree gleaming, piles of presents towering under, and the glowing white snow out the window. Even though Cat was 14 and Chris was 17, Christmas was still a magical time for them. When they opened their stockings, they each had a huge haul of candy, including Milky Ways, Catherine's favorite, Three Musketeers, Hershey's, Twix, Chris's favorite, Kit Kats, and more. Catherine also got a Rubik's Cube, and Chris got a paintbrush set. After the midst of opening presents, Amy Rollinger, their mom, finally woke up. Good morning, kids. Merry Christmas, she said, tired but cheerfully. Mom, you're awake really early, Cat said. Amy smiled. I heard you two opening your stockings, so I thought I could get up and we could open presents together, she said. Cat beamed. That would be awesome. So Chris, Amy, and Cat all had a short-lived but fun frenzy of opening gifts together. Kat had gotten a brand new laptop from Amy and an Avatar The Last Airbender hoodie from Chris. Also, Avatar The Last Airbender is the best show. Yeah, it's really good. Anyways, Chris got a Rihanna poster from Kat and a DSLR camera that he had been eyeing for some time at the local camera shop from Amy. Amy got a painting of the family at Lake Michigan from Chris and a highly polished Petoskey stones from Kat. Yes. Where was I? My eyes are getting old. So we'll find out what Petoskey stones are for a sec. It'll explain. Petoskey stones are a type of rock that, when they are polished or exposed to water, and they have dots that are coral on them. However, Petoskey aren't to be confused with Charlevoix stones that can also be found in Petoskey, but have tinier dots. They can both be found in Petoskey, Michigan, the Rollinger's family hometown. Amy thought they were the coolest thing ever, but Kat and Chris weren't so fond of searching for them longer than an hour. They would always go and search for them after it rained, because that was the best time to look for them. Thank you so much for the laptop, Mom. And Chris, the hoodie looks awesome, Kat said enthusiastically as she slipped on her new sweatshirt. Hold on, that makes me want to grab my Avatar The Last Airbender sweatshirt. I'll be right back, guys. Wait, actually, I'm going to take this with me. Let's go to my closet. Here's one of them. Earth Nation. Or Earth Kingdom, I guess. Hold on, let me put this on and then I will continue with the story. I don't care if it's 70-some degrees out. I still want to wear this. Okay. Just gonna slip this on. There we go. See, it has the logo on the back. I don't know if it shows, but yeah, you can kind of see the logo. Let's see, where were we? Chris smiled. Kat, I love the Rihanna poster, and Mom, thank you so much for the camera. It looks amazing, he said cheerfully. You are welcome, guys, and thank you so much for your gifts to me. I love them, Amy replied. Then she added, before I forget, did you guys pack to visit your great Uncle Todd and your grandma? Kat nodded. I am all ready to go, she responded. Chris gave an excited thumbs up. I am ready. I can't wait to see both of them again, he exclaimed joyfully. Amy smiled. Awesome. We will leave as soon as the snow gets plowed, and in the meantime, I can make hot chocolate, she said. There we go. Uncle Todd was Amy's uncle, and he was Kat and Chris's great uncle. When Amy's father tragically passed away following an accident, Toad became a father figure in her life, stepping in for his little brother. He and Amy's mom, Bee, became very close, and they were still really good buddies and in-laws. Uncle Todd was a very kind, outgoing man. Where was I? Oh yeah, and he loved the Rollinger family dearly. He was always overjoyed to see them on the holidays, and they always had a delightful time together. After they all had hot chocolate and the roads were plowed, the three of them got into the car and headed to Norway, Michigan. Norway. Uncle Todd's hometown in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. In the car, it was mainly quiet for the first part. The snow was still falling steadily, and Kat and Chris were watching the tiny flakes drift around. Kat was fidgeting with her new Rubik's Cube and thinking to herself, this year was all right, but it was a bit too long, too. It especially dragged when Kat was playing basketball. She was a good enough player, kind of in the middle of everyone, but something felt vaguely unsatisfying every time she played. She had first joined the team after moving to Petoskey right before 5th grade. All of the kids had been in competitive leagues, so things felt much different than a more laid-back recreational league she was used to in rural Indiana. Was there something else she was longing for? Something else she wanted? She felt like she couldn't quit since she has been doing it for 6 years now. It felt like she was trapped. Maybe Kat was just overthinking. Maybe things in basketball will get better. Maybe she will enjoy it, but things are just going to a rough start. and she didn't know a way to change that since she had been playing for 6 years. It was probably too late to change that. Then, in the middle of her thoughts, she came back to the present, where Chris was playing Rihanna on Spotify. The song Umbrella was playing, and Chris was singing the first part of the song. Then, Kat joined in with the first line of the chorus. When the sunshine will shine together, Kat sang. She was not the greatest singer, but when it came to her family, singing along to Rihanna was a must-do. Told you I'd be here forever, Chris sang grandly. Said I'd always be a friend, took an oath I'ma stick it out till the end. Everyone in the car sang at once. Now that it's raining more than ever, Amy continued, know that we'll still have each other. Kat added, you can stand under my umbrella. Chris belted confidently, you can stand under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, Everybody sang in unison. Y'all, I had to fill this up with 12,000 words. I gotta do what I gotta do here. The whole car sang the rest of the song. The remainder of the car ride mostly consisted of listening to and singing Rihanna songs, including Diamonds, Where Have You Been, Stay, and more songs. Classics. This was until they had finally arrived at Uncle Todd's house. Most of the houses in his neighborhood were smaller and painted white. However, his house was a huge, bold red brick house sitting at the end of the road. So, when people drove on Thornbridge Circle, Uncle Todd's flowers always stood out from the other houses. He kept his yard very neat, and in the spring, yellow and magenta flowers bloomed from the little bushes right in front of his house. Kat rang the doorbell with excitement, and Uncle Todd came out with a bright smile on his face. Hello, Kat. It is so good to see you again, he exclaimed. He pulled Kat in for a big embrace. And Chris, you look even more grown up. You are still growing fast, he said brightly. He gave Chris a big hug, too. Amy, it's great to see you again. Thank you so much for coming up here, he said, and gave Amy a big hug as well. Hold on, let me just see this. Where was I? Oh yeah, Uncle Todd was also famous for the best hugs. Come on in, I have dinner ready, he said. The food looked so delicious, and the smell of him wafted into Cat's nose. Wait, not the smell of him, the smell of ham. There was also Christmas pudding, breakfast casserole, gingerbread, cranberry sauce, peppermint bark, mashed potatoes, cherry pie, the Rollingers' favorite dessert, and mine too, and Uncle Todd's eggnog. Uncle Todd was a very good cook, and everyone who had his food always had great things to say about his skills. So, how was the weather up in Petoskey? Uncle Todd asked. Kat's eyes widened. It's crazy. It snowed 6 inches yesterday, she exclaimed. Uncle Todd looked very surprised. 6 inches, that is a lot of snow, he agreed. Tell me about it. It took ages to shovel the driveway, Chris said. They sat in silence at the table for a minute as they were eating their food. It was dark outside the window, but you could see tiny snowflakes gradually floating to the ground. So, how's basketball going for you, Kat? Uncle Todd said. Kat looked down at her food. It's okay, she said grimly. Just okay? What do you mean? He asked. Well, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not amazing either. I just feel like I'm not the best fit for the team, Kat replied. Oh, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, kiddo, Uncle Todd said. It's okay, Kat said, looking down at her food once again. The table was quiet once again for a minute until Uncle Todd broke the silence. So, how is photography going for you, Chris? Uncle Todd asked. It's going great, Chris replied. And I'm in a yearbook club, he said excitedly. Uncle Todd smiled. That's awesome, great job, he replied. Chris smiled. Thanks, Uncle Todd, he said with a proud grin on his face. Uncle Todd turned over to Amy. And how are the kids treating you at school? He asked her with a playful tone in his voice. Amy let out a chuckle. Well, I was nervous at the beginning of the year, she started, but they turned out to be really good kids, and I found myself really enjoying teaching. She finished. Amy taught 10th grade biology, and she had a knack for teaching. That's good. I'm glad it's going well for you, he said. Kat felt a surge of jealousy. She knew she should be happy for everyone, and she was, of course, but she wished she had a hobby of her own. Chris had photography that he really loved, and his yearbook club as well. Her mom had her teaching, which after 4.5 years, she still had a great passion for. And Uncle Todd loved cooking. Kat had been doing basketball ever since the family moved to Petoskey a few years ago. However, she didn't love it. She didn't have a passion for it. At the same time, she didn't hate it either. But she wanted something that she really loved doing. She pushed those feelings away and told herself that it wasn't that big of a deal. However, that feeling was still lingering. Scroll up. However, Kat did feel a little better when the family started their Christmas movie marathon. After debating on what movies to watch, they had decided on Elf, A Charlie Brown Christmas, Home Alone, and A Christmas Story. It was always funny watching Christmas Story because the leg lamp had always freaked Chris out. It was always hilarious to see his weirded out reaction. After the fun-filled watching spree, everyone decided that it was time to get around for bed. So, Kat had brushed her teeth, combed her hair, and got into her cozy Christmas pajamas, and headed for the room that she was going to be sleeping in. She was about to get into bed, until she saw an object on her bed, which appeared to be wrapped in decorative, festive wrapping paper. So, out of curiosity, she started unwrapping it. When she finished unwrapping, a small, shiny, strange-looking gun was revealed. It's really tempting to stop there, but that kind of sounds like a violent cliffhanger. So I'm going to keep going so you guys have context. Context matters. Chapter 2. Kat was very, very befuddled. I'm getting really hot. I'm going to open a window in here. It's toasting out. I swear, in the Midwest, it's always so freaking hot in the summers, and then it's like so freaking cold in the winters. Like, give us a break. Oh, I think I gotta turn this one. There we go. Fresh air. There we go. Pretty sunset. The clouds are orange. Looks cool. Alright. Anyways, no more getting sidetracked. Actually, that's probably a lie, but Chapter 2. Kat was very, very befuddled. Why would Uncle Todd give her a gun that looks like it's from Star Wars? After all, she had no idea how a space-age gun would be convenient for her. Also, not to mention, she didn't even know how to use one, nor was she really a sci-fi geek. Was the gun for fighting, or was it for something else? Then Uncle Todd walked in. "Ah, I see you found the gift," he said, eyeing the gun that she had just uncovered. "I'm rather confused," she explained, with audible confusion in her voice. "Me too, girl, me too." "So is this like a replica from Star Wars or Star Trek or something?" she asked, still puzzled. Uncle Todd chuckled. "Not exactly, it's a ray gun, though," he replied. Kat raised an eyebrow. "A ray gun?" she asked, still very confused. "I thought those only existed in movies, like Star Wars and Star Trek," she exclaimed. "Well, I thought so too, until I invented one," he replied. Kat's jaw dropped. Her uncle, inventor of a real-life ray gun? I never thought about it before. But that is actually really awesome, Kat thought to herself. "Wow, that is amazing, Uncle Todd. How did you even—" she started, but she didn't finish her sentence. "Well, would you like to know how it works?" Uncle Todd asked. "That'd be great. Thanks, Uncle Todd." Uncle Todd smiled. "Well, you see, this ray gun, in a sense, is actually a time machine." Where was it? Well, kind of. Kat thought things couldn't get any more confusing. A time machine? "Well, in a way, yes," he said. "You see, I can send very small objects and messages back in time with a ray gun, and with this notebook right here." Just pretend I have a notebook. He explained as he pulled out a light green notebook of a small compartment in the gun. Kat thought that she couldn't get any more confused. What? Uncle Todd thought for a few seconds, and then he came up with an idea. He left the guest bedroom, and he came back with a pen and a set of sticky notes. I want you to write on the sticky note, "This may sound weird, but go put the sticky note on the fridge," he instructed. Kat shrugged. "Okay," she said and wrote on the sticky note. "So what I'm going to do is I am going to write on this light green notebook." Uncle Todd started writing in the notebook, and it said, "Send sticky note to Kat's hand as soon as she comes to my door, December 25th, 4:45 p.m. Message says to put sticky note on fridge. This is a test. December 25th, 2022, 11:30 p.m. Todd." Kat was still very puzzled, but she decided it was best to just roll with it. That's how you gotta go in life. Just roll with it. That's not part of the book. I was just commentary. So now I'm going to scan what I wrote in the notebook, and then I'm going to scan the sticky note that you wrote," he explained. So he pressed a blue button, and he scanned both the words in the notebook and the sticky note. Then he pressed a red button, and the sticky note was out of his hand. "Go check the fridge," he instructed her. She thought that was mildly strange, but she went to check the fridge anyway. When she saw the fridge, she saw the sticky note. "This may sound weird, but go put this sticky note on the fridge." Kat recognized that sticky note. Still bewildered and confused, she went back to the bedroom where Uncle Todd was standing. "Tell me what you remember about the sticky note," he instructed once again. Kat thought about this for a minute, and then she said, "I remember as I was walking up to your door, I felt something in my hand. It was the sticky note, which was strange because I didn't come with any sticky notes." She paused to gather her memory again. "Then I came inside, and I asked if I could have a drink of water. That is when I went over, and I put the sticky note on your fridge. I wanted to act nonchalant and pretend I had a real reason to go to the fridge. After that, we settled down for dinner, which was delicious, by the way." He beamed. "Thank you," he cheerfully responded. "You're welcome," Kat replied, and then continued. "Then we had the movie marathon, and I got into my pajamas, brushed my teeth, and I went into the bedroom. I walked in and saw that gun, except wrapped until I unwrapped it, and then he began explaining it to me. And then you just told me to go check the fridge." Uncle Todd thought about how to explain the very complicated process. "Do you remember me telling you this gun was like a time machine?" he asked. Kat nodded. She remembered this. "Well, first of all, I used this notebook." He started as he pulled a green notebook out of a small compartment of the gun, and I wrote instructions on it. Kat looked in the notebook, and it said, "Send sticky note to Kat's hand as soon as she comes to my door. December 25th, 2022, 4:45 p.m. Message says to put sticky note on fridge. This is a test. December 25th, 2022, 11:30 p.m. Todd." And then I scanned the page with his scanner. He pressed a blue button, and a scanner was activated. And then I scanned the sticky note, which sent it back in time to your hand earlier today at 4:45 p.m. Kat was amazed. "That is so amazing. How did you do that?" she asked Uncle Todd in astonishment. Uncle Todd shrugged. "I just kind of worked with it until I had the final product," he replied. Then there was a moment of a thoughtful silence, both of them thinking what to say next. "So, if you don't mind me asking," Kat started, "is there a reason why you made the ray gun in the first place?" "Actually, there was a reason that I created it," Uncle Todd said. "It all started when Andy, your mother's dad, was involved in what turned out to be a very tragic car accident. It was January 24th, 1985, and he was on his way to work. The roads were covered in ice. He had a crucially important business meeting before a product launch. It couldn't be canceled, so he headed towards the office. He was always an expert driver, even in the winter, so it didn't feel like a big deal at the time. He was driving on the road, and all of a sudden a car lost control and slammed into him. Both cars slid off into the road, and both drivers were injured. The other driver had a few broken bones, but he came out of the hospital in pretty good shape. On the contrary, your grandfather did not do too well. He didn't look too scuffed up on the outside, actually, but he apparently hit his head just so. He was left in a coma with major head injuries. When he was in a coma, I spent a lot of time with your grandmother, and especially your mother, as a father figure of some sorts. So during the time that he was in a coma, I tried to think of some way that the whole accident never happened, so that he would be okay, and Amy would grow up with her dad in the picture. My best friend as a child, Claudio, later became a professor of metaphysics with a particular interest in time travel. We weren't actually able to time travel when we started, as our knowledge was more theoretical. With his genius and my engineering skills, we were able to eventually come up with the device you see now. It had many limitations and was temperamental, but essentially, like I said, we were able to send messages back in time. I kept trying time after time to send him some message that would convince him not to go to work, but it never worked and nothing changed. I even tried to convince the boss to cancel work because the roads were covered in ice. That didn't work either. After 2 excruciatingly long and painful years, Andy passed away, leaving all his friends and family heartbroken all over again on April 30th, 1987, just 5 days before his 31st birthday. After he died, I realized I couldn't send any more messages to him at all, nor could I send messages to myself to warn him. It just wouldn't work. Apparently, after someone dies, nothing about their life can be edited. Dang. That was pretty deep. I forgot I wrote all this. Now I'm sad. This isn't even real, but I'm still sad after reading this. Wow, that must be really hard, Kat said. I'm so sorry. I haven't heard many stories about him, actually, since Mom was so young when everything happened. He was a very good man, and I wish you had gotten to meet him, he said, with a hint of sadness in his voice. Come to think of it, Chris actually reminds me of him a lot. Very outgoing and spontaneous, and a bit of a prankster. Same goofy laugh and silly smile, too, Todd continued, this time cheering up a bit. I wish I met him, too, Kat said. Uncle Todd sighed and then looked at his watch. Well, it is officially midnight, he remarked. Your mother and Chris are already asleep, so we should probably go to bed, too. Kat yawned. You're right, I'm getting tired, she said sleepily. Uncle Todd let out a big yawn, too. All right, I'm going to go to bed. Get some sleep, okay? I will. You too, Kat replied. Uncle Todd smiled and started to go to his bedroom. Uncle Todd, Kat said. Uncle Todd came back. Yes? Thank you for the ray gun, she said, though she was still unsure of how she might use it. Uncle Todd smiled. You're welcome, kiddo, he replied. Kat turned out the lights, tucked herself in bed, and fell asleep shortly after. I should probably go to bed too, but honestly, I want to keep reading this. So I'm just gonna read another chapter of this. Let's see. How long is this chapter? Okay, this chapter's pretty short. Okay. Chapter 3. It was another snowy morning, and Kat woke up to the feeling of being pushed. She opened her eyes to see Chris towering over her. Kat let out a sigh. Why are you up this early? Kat tiredly said. It's 7 a.m., and we went to sleep super late last night. Uncle Todd made us a waffle buffet, Chris exclaimed. Kat sat up. A buffet? She asked. Yeah, there's all sorts of toppings, like strawberries, blueberries, whipped cream, cherries, chocolate syrup, even strawberry syrup. Kat's eyes widened. Really? She said with less tiredness in her voice. Oh yeah, and you can choose from strawberry waffles, blueberry waffles, chocolate chip, or regular. Okay, you convinced me. I'm getting up. She stood out of bed, let out a small yawn, and followed Chris to the dining room. As she walked in the room, she saw all of the waffles and toppings sitting in the middle of the table. Good morning, kids. Help yourself. I've got plenty, he said brightly. Kat was amazed at how much there was. Wow, thanks, Uncle Todd. Uncle Todd smiled. Of course, enjoy. Kat helped herself to a few toppings and took 2 waffles. Chris had 6 waffles and every topping he could get his hands on. So, how did you sleep last night? Uncle Todd asked. I slept really well, Kat said. Like a baby, Chris exclaimed with his mouth full. Uncle Todd let out a laugh. Well, I'm glad you two both slept well. Speaking of sleeping, I think your mom's asleep. Or I think Mom's still asleep, Chris said with a bit of mischief in his voice. Kat gave Chris a look. Don't you dare wake her up, she told him. And why not? Chris prodded. She's missing out on the waffles. Well, I guess you have a point there. I'm going to wake her up, he said and ran into her room. Honestly, that's valid, because, if I were fast asleep and I realized I missed out on waffles, I'd be pretty upset. Because, waffles. After the whole family had breakfast together and everyone got around, Kat went to talk to Uncle Todd about the ray gun. She still had questions about it. How would she use it? How would it benefit her? Uncle Todd? She said. What's up? He replied. I have a question. How should I use the ray gun? How did you use it? Uncle Todd smiled. Go grab the ray gun from your room, he replied. So Kat went to her room, grabbed the ray gun, and went back to Uncle Todd's room. When she sat back down, he said, Take out my notebook from the compartment. She grabbed the tiny green notebook and she handed it to Uncle Todd. He opened the notebook. Everything I've ever done with the ray gun is in the notebook, he explained. He flipped through all of the pages. One time I had an important business meeting and I forgot to write an important report, he said. So I finished them and I used the ray gun so I never forgot. Kat thought about it. That's really smart. I could use that for my homework sometime. Kat had a bit of a problem with turning in assignments on time, and her teachers paid attention to it. Me too. Bro, freshman year was tough. The amount of missing assignments I had was not good. Anyways. So the ray gun could come in really handy. There was also this very memorable instance. I used the ray gun to try all of the food in a fancy restaurant. Kat gasped. That's evil! How did you do that? Uncle Todd had a mischievous smile. I kept shooting little notes to myself, timed to the moment I sat down at the table, with little notes like, try the pesto chicken, try the filet mignon. You get the idea. Kat let out a chuckle. That sounds like something Chris would do, she said. That's why I didn't give it to him, he joked. Kat and Uncle Todd both chuckled. There was a pause and said, So, how should I use the ray gun? She asked. It's up to you. There are almost infinite possibilities you can do with it, Uncle Todd replied. Kat thought about it. She hadn't thought of anything, but she knew that she would think of something to do with it. If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Claudio? She asked. He passed away several years ago, he replied. Aw, I'm really sorry, Kat said. It's okay. He lived a good life, Uncle Todd said. He had decided not to use the ray gun because he wanted to be careful and not let it go into the wrong hands. Kat thought to herself. She only knew a little bit about what to possibly do with the gun. Do you mind if I look through the log a little bit more just to get a few more ideas? She asked Uncle Todd. Sure, he replied. I'm going to go so you can think to yourself about this, he added. Kat skimmed through the log. Looked like Uncle Todd had done small things with it, too. For example, when he found something that he had lost, he could shoot it back so that he would have never lost it. He would do other things, too, like write reminders to himself to remember things, like when he needs to get to the grocery store. Kat thought that maybe it would be best if she starting out with something small. Kat, Chris, come down here. Your Grandma Bee is here. Kat ran downstairs. Grandma! Kat exclaimed and gave her a hug. Chris also joined in the hug. Hey, you two, it's good to see you again. Hey, Bee, I'm glad you came, Todd said. Thank you for coming up here, Mom. Amy said. Grandma Bee gave a warm smile. Of course, I'm glad to see you all again. Do you all want to learn how to crochet? I brought some of my yarn, Grandma Bee said. That would be super fun, Cat replied. So, Grandma Bee taught everyone how to crochet, and everyone had a lot of fun learning. However, some people were doing better than others. I think I missed a turn, Chris said. My square looks more like a blob. Grandma Bee laughed. Many people don't get it right away. Nothing to be worried about. After a few hours of crocheting, everyone started to get the hang of it. She had to move on chains to many squares. After that, Todd made potato bacon soup for everyone. Grandma Bee's favorite. Okay, but potato bacon soup is like low-key delicious. Like, especially the ones from Culver's. Those are the best ones. They have really good soup. That was delicious. I always love your cooking, Grandma Bee remarked. Cat agreed. That might have been the best thing that she's had during the visit. After that, the family had board game night. They played games such as Sorry, Battleship, Monopoly, Cards Against Humanity, and various card games as well. After the awesome day with Grandma Bee and Uncle Todd, it was time to go to bed for the night. Unfortunately, in the morning, the Rollanders had to go home. Come again soon. I enjoyed having you all over, he said, as they were leaving. Thank you so much for inviting us over here, Amy said. Cat and Chris both gave Uncle Todd a big embrace. Then they gave Grandma Bee a big hug, too. It was great seeing both of you again, she said warmly. Uncle Todd smiled. I love you, kiddos, and I hope you enjoyed your gifts, Uncle Todd replied. Thank you so much, Cat replied. Merry Christmas, Chris exclaimed. Then they got into the car and they headed towards home. All right, and that makes 3 chapters. So that actually wasn't as bad as I remember. It started off a little slow, but it gets better. It gets better. There's more action, including a boy. We'll find out about him later. But yeah, so that was chapters 1 through 3. But yeah, tune in next time for the next few chapters. Adios. How do I stop this? Do I do this? Wait, no. Wait. This is my first time doing a live stream. What do I do to stop this? Wait, do I just... X. There we go. Wait.